Picture this. 7 of the best Minecraft speedrunners compete for $10,000. For 36 hours over the course of 3 days, they will all be resetting seeds for the best possible 1.16 random seed glitchless time. To top it off, Dream will be giving $4,000 for each of the first 5 sub-15s, raising the grand total to $30,000. Well, this was the Break the Record live tournament hosted by European Speedrunner Assembly from April 30th to May 2nd, 2021. In this video, I'll be going through what happened during this tournament and why it's possibly one of the greatest speedrunning tournaments ever hosted. To start, I will introduce you to each of the 7 contestants. They are Curryway, Dylan, Feinberg, Illumina, NinjaBrain, Rain, and the Sizzler. Each of these players had a personal best of under 15 minutes, and over half of them have held world records in 1.16 RSG prior to this. In a tournament that's so stacked with amazing players, anything could happen. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Day 1 of the tournament started at 3 PM Central European Summer Time. The first notable run happened just over 3 hours into the event, and it was Curryway nearly breaking his own personal best of 14:36. When the dragon perched, it was coming down at a bad height, so he accidentally let it turn one too many times and it broke his bed before he could start the 1 cycle. This was quite a shock, but at least he finished the run in 16:13 to take the first place position. His run would not be first place for long though, because less than an hour later, something incredible happened.
Stand up? Dude, I don't need to stand up. It's pretty obvious that I don't have a fucking boner.
Rainex had loaded into a seed which had a rune portal chest containing 29 iron nuggets, gold boots, a gold shovel, and a fire charge. After crafting a boat and doors, he set sail and came across a shipwreck containing 12 iron ingots. Right next to that shipwreck was a magma ravine, and after crafting iron tools, he was in the nether at 2 minutes and 48 seconds. The first thing he did in the nether was E-ray to locate a bastion. Once located, he followed where it was telling him to go and came across a fortress. This was a pretty good sign that he was in a great seed, because if the fortress is seen while traveling in the direction of a bastion, it's very likely that the 2 structures are close to each other. Well, not only were they close to each other, but the bastion was a housing, best type. Once in the bastion, he opted to do a route that is not commonly used, with him breaking a gold block to aggro surrounding piglins. After his trades, he had enough fire resistance, string, and ender pearls to leave, but not obsidian. Fortunately, at the top chest, he was able to find enough, so he was off to the fortress before 7 minutes had passed. One absolutely insane ender pearl throw later, he was at the spawner. After killing blazes for about 2 minutes, he was off to blind travel, and his overworld spawn was, well, not great. He spawned underground, and after digging up until he was at Y level 84, he dug to the side and immediately saw that he was digging into a massive cliff. His eye throw took him toward the ocean, and a short time later, he saw an ocean exposed portal room.
Hey, you guys see it? Do you guys see it? Do you guys see it? Do you guys see it? I fucking see it.
He was in the end at 11:42, and after a quick perch and 5 beds, he had finished the game in 12 minutes and 38 seconds.
I'm standing up. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Not only was this a new time to beat in the tournament, but it was Rainex's new PB and the first $4,000 dream bounty claimed. After this happened, things started to slow down for a bit, and by a bit, I mean about an hour and a half, when Sizzler got a time of 19 minutes and 7 seconds, putting him in 3rd place. He was not done though, because a half hour after getting that run, he claimed the second dream bounty with a time of 14 minutes and 42 seconds. A cool thing about this run is that he was able to utilize divine travel with a 0-0 chunk fossil. I will be linking Matthew Boland's video on divine travel in the description in case you're interested. Anyways, the next person to take the spotlight would be NinjaBrain, because an hour after Sizzler got his sub 15, he got his own. This run was not just any ordinary sub 15 though, because he entered the end on a pace that could have put him ahead of Rainex. Let's take a look at this run. He spawned in a spruce forest next to an ocean, and after getting the essentials, he was off to a shipwreck which had 11 iron ingots. After crafting iron tools and finding an underground lava pool, he was in the nether at 2 minutes and 16 seconds. He spawned directly next to a stables bastion, and after routing it, he was off to find a fortress at 4.5 minutes. The fortress was visible from the bastion, and he was in it at around 5.5 minutes. Once he got the necessary amount of blaze rods, he blind traveled into the overworld at 7 minutes and 38 seconds. In order to gauge how far the stronghold was, he threw one eye, went to the side, and threw another. The angle on the second one changed by nearly 3 degrees, so he knew that it was very close. Unfortunately, his second eye throw broke, so now he needed the portal to have at least one eye already in it. After some traveling and triangulation, he located the chunk of the stronghold entrance and dug down into it before 11 minutes had passed. The portal room was right there and it had enough eyes, so he was in the end at 10 minutes and 56 seconds, almost a minute faster than Rainex's pace. Unfortunately, the dragon was not on his side because after waiting over 2 full minutes, it decided to perch. 4 beds and a few exits later, the dragon was dead, and the third dream bounty was claimed with a time of 13 minutes and 31 seconds. Oh, and did I mention that literally on the seed prior to this run, he got a 1541 as well? Anyways, after all of this sub 15 insanity on day 1, 12 hours had almost passed and the day was coming to a close. This doesn't mean that the crazy time slowed down because with less than 4 hours left, Illumina barely missed out on a $4,000 dream bounty with a time of 15 minutes and 14 seconds. Want to know who did claim the $4,000 before the day ended? Sizzler, with his second sub 15 of the day. Even though he was only in 3rd place at the time, he was already walking away with a minimum of $8,600. Anyways, on to day 2. With the standard set so high by day 1, it was completely unknown whether day 2 would have the same kind of insanity. Well, the short answer is no. The long answer is that only 1 run was completed out of all the runners who were participating in the 12-hour time span, and it didn't change the leaderboards at all. After the event of days 1 and 2 looking so different from each other, how would day 3 fit in? Well, 40 minutes into it, this day was already off to a promising start. Feinberg had barely missed out on getting a sub 15 with a 13-minute end entry. An hour and a half later, Illumina would claim the last $4,000 bounty with a time of 14 minutes and 19 seconds, so F for Feinberg. To quickly break down this run, he blind traveled from the nether at around 10 minutes and quickly found out that the stronghold was close. At 11 minutes and 50 seconds, he dug down into it and was in the end after a minute of routing. A good perch and 1 cycle later, he put himself ahead of Sizzler in 3rd place.
Let's go!
Now, if you remember from the beginning of the video, there were 7 people competing in this tournament. I've only mentioned Rainex, Sizzler, Illumina, Feinberg, Curryway, and Ninja Brain so far though. Dylan, an equally skilled competitor, had some pretty unfortunate seeds and RNG throughout the days, but there's one highlight of his that I want to share. Toward the end of day 3, he was in last place and found himself on a pretty decent run. He was ready to blind at around 11 minutes and 30 seconds, and once in the overworld, an ocean exposed stronghold was staring at him 50 blocks away. He was in the end at 12 minutes and 19 seconds, but unfortunately the dragon took forever to perch and he was not able to move out of last place. With the tournament coming to a close, there's one more thing that I want to talk about. Toward the end of day 3, the 1.16 RSG world record hadn't been broken, but that's not to say this is true for other categories. You see, what I would call the highlight of all 3 days combined was something that Feinberg did with only a few hours left. It started with him loading into a world where he was immediately able to see acacia trees, jungle trees, and oak trees. After getting a boat and some doors, he made his way to a shipwreck that had dark oak logs. A bit of traveling later, he stumbled upon an island that had a birch tree and another shipwreck that had spruce logs. Soon after, he made his way to a magma ravine, and upon entry into the nether, he saw crimson and warped logs. Once these were in his inventory, he had not just broken the all logs random sea glitchless world record, but shattered it by over a minute with a time of 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Alas, the record had been broken. Even if it wasn't the intended one, it was a cause for celebration. The winner of the whole tournament was Rainex, who was brought on the main stream for an interview. His time of 12 minutes and 38 seconds will be put in 5th place on the leaderboards when it's verified. The person who walked home with the most money though was Sizzler because of his 2 sub 15 bounties. Interestingly enough, the final order of players' earnings from the tourney was directly correlated with their PBs at the time. Unsurprisingly, the player who had reset the most amount of worlds was Ninja Brain, who had spent an average of only 39 seconds for each attempt. Every player who participated spent at least 25 out of 36 of the competition hours resetting seeds, with Illumina taking the crown for the most playtime at 33.25 hours. This is absolutely amazing dedication, and I want to give a huge thank you to all the runners for keeping people entertained for such a long time. Altogether, this Break the Record Live tournament hosted by the European Speedrunning Assembly will go down in history, not only because it was by far the biggest Minecraft speedrunning tournament in terms of potential winnings, but also because it absolutely spoiled the Minecraft speedrunning community with its production value. The amazing team working behind the scenes were able to get a ton of different people to cast the event. Just to name a few of the guest casters, they had Easy Speezy, Ant Venom, Simply, Captain Sparkles, Small Ant, and many, many more. Carl Jobs was one of the people who helped organize this, so a huge thank you to him. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day.